Welcome back to the LEC as Rogue take down XL in what was a very one-sided game, and it is my pleasure to introduce for the very first time Seeel, the assistant coach for Rogue. Thank you so much for joining me, Seeel. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's my pleasure.
Fantastic to have you on broadcast for the very first time. So, as the assistant coach for Rogue, could you talk me through your job specifically when it comes to working with the players, but also the synergy you have with Freddy?
I think Simon and I get along really well because he's the type of coach to openly delegate tasks to the people around him, you know. So I'd say he places a lot of faith in me to kind of do what I'm best at, which include, you know, talking to the players one-on-one, working on the individual stuff and kind of creating some concepts here and there. But overall, from a duty perspective, it's very shared. Simon obviously takes a leadership, so Freddy takes a leadership and kind of shows me the ropes, and then I follow his lead and do my best to contribute.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, when it comes to the match today, it was again a very one-sided game for you guys. Could you talk me through the approach to take down XL and point out their weaknesses, maybe?
I wouldn't say that we're specifically attacking like their weaknesses or anything like this. We have an idea behind how we want to play the game. We have an idea behind how we want to improve at the game, and then we just bring those concepts on stage, and the goal is obviously to have the best performing playoffs team possible, right?
All right.
So we just stick to our guns, and then, you know, there might be some niche things with draft and whatnot when it comes to like each team, but other than that, yeah, mostly just sticking to our guns and what we think is good.
All right, interesting. And now, as one of the few already teams locked in playoffs, you have, I think, an advantage in the way you can anticipate the last few games you have left, especially building to playoffs. How are you going to approach this to have like as many options as you want to be ready for playoffs?
I mean, I think that's a task that you start from week one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like any other team. You use the players and the cards that you have to their utmost potential. The job's a lot easier, right? Because coaching is a very humbling role. If you have good pieces, then it's not very hard to have good results, right? So I think just trusting our players and going with their strengths and minimizing our weaknesses, and then maybe having a few spicy picks here and there and some strategies here and there.
All right,
but
well,
mostly just from week one, having a really good process.
I see. Yeah, and that's what's something that Freddy mentioned actually in an interview with Tahm for the upcomer. Last question for you, Seeel. You were telling me about working with players individually. I want to touch on Malrang because he quickly became one of the best junglers in the league and maybe one of the best players we have in the league right now. What's your take on his improvements and the role he takes in the team?
I mean, Malrang was already a very good player when he joined, right? So a lot of what he needed to work on was just adapting to the team. Obviously, every team is different. Damwon Gaming in 2021 was a very top-centric style, so he had to kind of adjust to a more mixed style where we played both top and bot lane. And yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just, as I said, that adaptation and maybe just learning some English skills. But other than that, I think he is a good league above most of the junglers in Europe at the moment, especially when it comes to understanding where he is on the map, where the vision is on the map, and not showing himself and finding opportunities. So, and also reading the meta. So yeah. I would say that a lot of the development comes from us helping him adjust more than, you know, developing him as a player. Yeah.
You did a fantastic job. And so with the rest of the Rogue lineup, Seeel, thank you so much for the interview and congrats on the week for Rogue. And for more on Malrang's early pathing, let's hand it over to Sjokz and Broxah.
Thank you very much, Laure. Wonderful interview with Seeel. And we are going to talk about Malrang again, yes, but we do have Broxah, and he has some exclusive insight. Yesterday, Broxah and I already talked in a Telestrator segment about his early game moves, and I loved that Seeel said a cut above the junglers here in Europe so far. So let's examine his methods, so to speak, Broxah. What are you going to show us?
Well, I actually love him saying that because I don't know if I'm ready to make the statement like that, saying Malrang is a step above everyone. I think he is the best right now, and he has a really awesome playstyle that I really love. So let's have a look. So this clip that we're about to look at right here is in the early game. Malrang has just finished 3 camps, 12 CS currently, and We're gonna play the clip. Now, Marcoon looking for a bot dive. Now, the one thing that we want to highlight here, before moving on, focusing on Malrang, perhaps a bit late into the clip, I'm a bit of a slow poke with the telestrator, you guys are gonna have to forgive me, but right as Marcoon came in, right before they dove, there was this ward placed by Patrick, spotting out Malrang, knowing Malrang was there. If he had not placed that ward, Malrang could have counter-ganked the dive. It could have been a disaster for Excel. Now, after that ward is being placed, Marcoon leaves, he doesn't want any danger, and Marcoon is going to do what most junglers are going to do in this case. He's going to take the bot crab, he's going to start moving to the other side of the map, because the entire jungle is up. Now, Malrang, he's a little different. Now, we could see him channeling his base there for just a second, but obviously basing is not very fun, is it? Who wants to base, who wants to go farm their jungle when you can look for plays, when you can try to get your bot lane ahead? And that is exactly what he's going to do. He cancels his recall, asks Trimby to go for the all-in. This is something that has clearly been coordinated, because in just a second, Trimby is going to go crazy. Hop right in, look for the play, Malrang is there to follow. They don't get the kill on the first round. Malrang channels his base again, moves into the tri-bush. First he placed the wall in there. It looked like he was actually going to base this time. Then he fought again.
Is that a fake out? Is he doing that on purpose?
Possibly. Possibly. But again, he doesn't want to base, of course. He wants some action. He wants to put his bot lane ahead. Keep in mind, while Malrang is doing this, Marcoon is just farming. But they look for the dive. Relatively forced, but they also know Marcoon is not there. Turns into a successful dive. Malrang ends up dying right at the end of it. A little bit of a hiccup, not the cleanest dive I've ever seen, but still get the double kill, puts his bot lane ahead. Now, this took Malrang 2 minutes. He has been bot lane 2 minutes while Marcoon has been farming the entire time. Malrang at this point in the game, 14 CS, Marcoon has 32. That's an 18 CS differential in the jungle, which is huge. The important thing to keep in mind here is that while Malrang is sacrificing himself for the team big time, it's great, and it turned into a victory because Comp, Trimby, the rest of Rogue were able to get ahead. Eventually they get into the enemy jungle, they can start denying camps from Marcoon, they secure objectives, Malrang catches up. That bot lead turned into a massive victory for Rogue, all on the back of this play that I think only Malrang would really go for.
Yeah, and as we go back to the video, let's discuss that then a little bit, right? Because we were talking about Malrang as being such a good jungler with the game sense and whatnot. We also heard it from his assistant coach, but I don't think this is anything that's in a jungle handbook. Yes, of course it's in the jungle handbook. Try to make sure that you're undetected, try to see the opportunity, but also it says don't fall too far behind, don't stay too long if you don't get anything for what you invested. So it still remains for me the question, like, can you always do this? And does it depend on how strong your laners are, which Rogue luckily has some good laners?
It takes a lot of trust because, as you were saying, it's kind of like handing that lead over to your laners who then eventually want to hand it back to you at some point so you can be relevant. I mean, I think there was a one point when around one of the Dragons was like, actually, Malrang had a 2-level advantage somehow to coming into that late game. But when you look at how Rogue played out the rest of this with their leads, suddenly with them putting behind XL's bot lane, they couldn't even hold mid lane turret. That was a huge problem for them. Mickey was dying quite a lot, and it's not even really his fault. He was just put completely under the weight of the game by Malrang's early plays.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that Marcoon could have done in reaction, Broxah, with the information, all right, he's invested so much bot, and he's behind in farm, I should know what he's going to try next?
So this was the first thing that came to my mind, like, should Marcoon have been here? Shouldn't he have covered the play? And I think the main thing is that Excel just doesn't expect him to linger around to stay for that long. As I said, he was actually bot for 2 minutes. That's a long time not doing anything on the map, really. And the problem is, he went for, well, first they saw him starting his base, he stopped it, he went in for the play, they see him missing again, they're like, well, now he has to base, right? But he just keeps coming back, and actually at the point where he walked into the tri-bush, it was too late for Marcoon to walk bot anyways. I think like when you're a professional team, at this point in the game, you're usually just going to tell your bot lane. It does like a conversation going between bot lane, between the jungler, and you're going to be like, guys, I'm sorry, you're on your own. You need to make this outplay for me, and I'm going to carry the game. Now, in this case, Marcoon probably a little disappointed because his bot lane was not able to go for the outplay. But yeah, that's how it goes.
And on the other side, of course, Comp and Trimby were very happy that Malrang decided to hang around. Trimby is our key player of the game, 49% of the votes. I like Broxah that you called out. This is being called. He's saying, hey, I'm still here. Trimby, pull that trigger. And Trimby is continuing his development and is showing to be instrumental with Malrang in his support jungle synergy.
And I think really the story of EU in terms of the best teams has been actually largely tied to jungle support. And what we're seeing is a new iteration of a top team with a top tier jungle support. These plays don't happen without the coordination between both of those parts. Trimby having the one real engaged threat, actually kind of on both teams in that game, or at least the major one, and then getting to a point where he's in the lead, he's ahead of his opposing number, the disengage options aren't quite there, really worked out well for them, and it still shows they have a lot of those strong points to work towards, even if they did lose that game the other day.
Yes, absolutely. Rogue is still hot in that battle for first, and XL is also still in prime position for the playoffs. It would be very good for them if in the match of the week later, Fnatic is able to beat the Mad Lions, because then they keep that 3-game distance between them and the rest. I did expect a little bit more from them, but if you're up against a Rogue in that form, there just isn't much you can do. Our next match is a do-or-die game for Team BDS, as a loss versus G2 would eliminate them from playoff contention, and I feel like G2 also has something to make up for.
Yeah, just a little thing to prove there, Sjokz. Great analysis, guys. Great to see Broxah and Nymaera on the desk as well. It's always nice to have different voices on here, and I'm just so happy to be next to one of those different voices as well.
Sjokz.
I mean, the thing is, right? Jankos, Kegel, and VoD all got actually quite a worrying problem this week. They got Elden Ring-itis.
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah, it's been rife throughout the community.
Munchbuzz has that as well.
Oh, Munch has it as well? Oh, man, I'm really sorry. It's this casting problem. Anyway, thankfully, neither of us have Elden Ring-itis this weekend, so we can bring you all the action here for our 4th game of the day. As Sjokz said, if BDS lose, they are out. Let's see if G2 can bounce back from a loss yesterday and take the win today, right after this. G2 on the blue, BDS on the red. Let's get on into the action. Across the course of the season, we've seen both these teams like to play carries in the top lane. And my question is, will we see that happen again? Because there was a small shift in sort of week 5, week 6 from G2, where they put less emphasis on BrokenBlade and more emphasis on Flakked and Caps. But yesterday, we saw BrokenBlade actually having a lot of time put into him on that Tryndamere, even if they ended up losing at the end.
And I mean, even the games that you're talking about where they didn't really put attention into him, he was still playing Yone. Like, it didn't matter. He was just bringing it out against the Graves. So I think the focus is still going to be a lot on towards like these carries in the top sides on both sides of the equation. But also, these were actually the 2 big picks that I was looking for. I was about to say, when you want to play around top, Rise and Twisted Fate, these carries that can, or well, these mid laners that can get out and support those carries are really important. So I like that BDS are kind of coming in and going, hey, look, Caps, we don't want you to touch any of these. And honestly, Caps on these picks has been super important to G2, like having that early game impact and starting to get that snowball going, starting to look for picks in the mid game. A lot of that comes off that pressure from Caps on these roaming picks.
And you can see actually BDS prioritizing the Ahri ban here. A little interested to see that. I've seen a lot of discussion about Ahri. She can fit in a draft, but she doesn't really do anything incredibly well. She's a jack of all trades, and yesterday we saw Caps struggle a little bit with it in the mid game, and because that Ahri was banned and not the Jinx, with G2 banning out Aphelios and Zeri, Jinx is just, it's a free pick for G2, and it's going to be answered by Varus here by xMatty.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Ahri brings is like a good amount of push in the lane, which means you can go and roam. And again, that's what BDS are just trying to shut down with these initial bans. And now they can play towards, as you say, like the Varus coming in the bot side, something that can push relatively well against the Jinx. You got Hecarim as well, the strongest jungler in the patch at the moment too. And it looks like Jankos is trying to answer with the Volley Bear or the Xin Zhao, both good sides of the equation. I'd love to see a Tahm, sorry, not a Tahm, get a Thresh here, but doesn't matter, we're going to go with the Targamas.
Kept going with the Tahm,
I know,
because it was locked in.
Yeah.
You can play with the audience a little bit, right? They don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah. I just think the Thresh is great, where you've got the lanterns for some of these engages that can come through, but obviously it's a little bit tough against something like a Hecarim because you end up feared. It's a little bit harder to get the Dark Passage, but either way, looking at the last pick here, it feels like you're going to be going towards some sort of engage tool here for the support role. I would love to see like a Leona or a Thresh, but we're actually just going to go with the Zilean. So still a bit of flexibility there. Still can't go for nuclear into the mid lane, but also could be for limiting that bot side.
I mean, one good thing about the Zilean in the bottom lane here is you don't really have too much threat from the G2 bottom lane. Yes, they get some push, but you can answer that with the Varus and with the bombs. There's no hook. There's nothing you really have to dodge away from Tahm Kench, so you have a bit of safety there. It also allows NUCLEARINT to pick something into caps that may be a little bit better in the 1v1 or even in the 2v2. BDS will continue to focus caps, though.
Wow.
4 out of 4 bans towards that mid lane so far.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see more going that direction as well. And especially when you got the LeBlanc banned away, the Ari and stuff as well, you're kind of looking going, what do you actually go towards here? I mean, if you're going to take a step back and go towards something like a Corki or the Orianna or something here, well, the Orianna's just gone there, so I don't really know what either our Caps or NUCLEARINT are kind of keeping their eyes on here going forward. Maybe the Syndra ban becomes, or sorry, Syndra pick becomes super high priority here.
Could, of course, still, as you said earlier, be that Zilean in the mid lane, and we see support flexed at the last moment for BDS. But with the Orianna banned away, looking across the pools, things like Akali, Victor still an option, of course, Galio, Vex, being played by both these players as well, or at least by NUCLEARINT. Zoe now taken away by Team BDS.
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of looking towards the Syndra or that Victor, as you say, for Caps, something that provides that zone control. Victor, I think, a little bit nicer just in preventing the follow-up, which is going to be coming off of Cinkrof's engage, right? You can put down that gravity field, you stop the likes of the Zilean, the Varus being able to move into the choke point that you're working in, and you got that safety then of the Tahm Kench for both of these long-range carries in the back line. But we'll have to see what the plan is going to be, because you could always just take it away here. Victor, no real bad matchups left up and available here with so many of those mid lane picks gone.
Tryndamere the final ban. Gwen and Graves still available for both these teams. A matchup we've seen quite often in the top lane. Instead, Kog'Maw. Is that mid-Cog? Yep.
That could definitely be. So, I mean, I'd imagine it's going to be the mid lane Kog'Maw, right? I mean, the AP version, but that's kind of nuts, to be honest. I was not expecting to be casting an AP Kog'Maw in the mid lane, and especially when you look at it blind, right? But I think, I mean, good read from BDS here. You don't have a huge amount of dive potential that can actually threaten your backline. You've got good lockup from the Varus, so being able to unlock this Kog'Maw is actually going to do pretty well. And now you've got really long-range poke, especially if that ends up being a poke Varus rather than the on-hit Varus.
It's going to be very interesting to see how BDS navigate this draft. Of course, it's do or die for them. A loss here would knock them out of playoffs. Akshan picked for BrokenBlade in the top lane. Sylas in the mid lane for Caps. Stealing away that chrono shift from the Zilean can have a huge impact.
So at least looking at G2, I feel like they're just going for sides. I don't actually think we're going to end up looking for team fights very much. You got the Akshan there, you got the Sylas as well. Just go for a 1-3-1, which is certainly where BDS are weakest. You don't want this Kog'Maw in the side lane because he's super vulnerable to dives, especially if you're going to go towards something like the Sion, this mega tank. It feels like playing through these side lanes is going to be what G2 are trying to do. So I expect a lot of pressure from Jankos towards this top half of the map. But Flakked and Targamas just looking to farm up and try and win out in the mid lane push in that 3v3 to unlock these sides for G2. Whereas for BDS, I mean, does it get any more team fight than what we see?
Not at all. Like Kog'Maw, Zilean, Varus, they have a lot of dive potential as well with the Hecarim and the Sion. I'm so stoked for this. The last mid lane Kog'Maw we saw was Nemesis, in the LEC was Nemesis in 2020, August, I believe. Rogue versus Fnatic. He won. He went 3-1-6. We have seen bot lane Kog'Maw since then, but first time in a long time we are seeing it in the mid lane here. And BDS bringing something spicy in their do-or-die match. G2, though, as you say, with the side lane pressure, with the strength in the form of that Akshan BrokenBlade. Last time he played, it didn't have the best of performances, but still can really dominate a game if he gets ahead. His ability to move around the map can be incredibly impactful. For G2, even if they win here, they do not lock playoffs, but they would be 99% of scenarios in which they make it into our top 6. BDS is one number. 0% if you lose, and a chance still remains if you win. Let's see which of these teams can take the win today. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. We here as we step on into the action. G2 looking for a play down towards this bottom side. Caps, of course, can dash over the wall. No one can follow him. Actually, Targamas could if he wanted to level up that Abyssal Voyage first, but usually you want to get a bit of, I was going to say tongue action, but that sounds a little bit off. You want to get your Q first on the Tahm Kench for the slow. G2, though, will be able to walk in here. Cinkrof a little late coming towards his buff. Jankos will be spotted. Things come out. And Cinkrof does have Sweeper, as does Limit, so they can clear this ward. The question is, do BDS want this fight?
Yeah, I don't think the early game from BDS is particularly strong right now, especially when you look at, the CC that can come through from Caps, the setup that you got from Targamas as well to follow up on what Caps is kind of dishing out. So I like this from G2, kind of just bullying their way in, knowing that they're stronger at this early stage.
First damage goes over to Limit. Hail of arrows, just a little bit wide there. Limit does have the sweeper, yet to use it. G2, 4 members strong here. Looks like BDS are trying to delay for Cinkrof to do his wolves and then come across, but Jankos gets the smite. G2 will steal away that buff. Jankos actually looking for a little bit more. Oh, that timing though. Oh, that's so smart.
And not only that, this is such a good way to try and handle Hecarim in the early stages. Hecarim is really bad at going for invades because he just isn't a very strong duelist in the early stages. And when you've got pushing top, pushing bot as well, it becomes really difficult for Cinkrof to try and get in and try and get any sort of camps back. So Jankos, as you can see, will probably move path over towards his own top side and make sure that Cinkrof then is just set behind. And when you look at like the main person in the early game for BDS being Cinkrof, it's a pretty nice start for G2.
It's great to put him behind as and when you can. BrokenBlade will bangarang his way into action and force Adam away. Of course, that sign will become tankier as the game goes on. The Soul Furnace W gives you extra health the more minions that you manage to kill. And I will say, like, we meme G2 a little bit and they meme themselves for the performance yesterday. They were 11 towers to 2 up. They had a 13.5 thousand gold lead and they managed to lose the game. Or if you want to look at the bright side of things, Misfits managed to win the game. However, what can be forgotten in that sequence of events is the fact that G2 were 13.5 thousand gold ahead at the 18-minute mark. They had an open nexus for their enemy team, and they had absolutely destroyed Misfits until the game started to swing away from them. They had a very good early game in day one, and if they had just closed out the game, we'd all be lauding their praises. Instead, they're on the other side of the coin right now.
And I think a huge amount of that is the ability for them to try and play through 3 of those strong lanes that we saw yesterday, but also just Jankos being an absolute nuisance in the enemy jungle. And it feels like we're going to see the same from Jankos here, as he's kind of predicted Cinkrof going towards the scuttle. Jankos will see him move back in, but just keeping tabs on Cinkrof right now for Jankos is enough. Cinkrof doesn't have any camps up because of this early game Jankos has played, so if Cinkrof is just kind of sitting here doing nothing, that's a win for G2.
Jankos can just step back forward here. You can see Caps trying to move across with the bot lane pushing in. Jankos has a little bit of relative safety. His team would be able to react quicker as BrokenBlade continues to harass Adam up towards this top lane. Ranged into melee, never in favor of the melee, and becomes even trickier when BrokenBlade has that repel that he can just dash around with.
And I just kind of want to take this moment to give a shout out to Jankos, because I've been really impressed with them on G2. I know that you were saying, look, there's been some messiness on G2, but when I look at Jankos' understanding of what he needs to achieve in the early game, it's really, really strong, right? Like, if he needs to try and, like, Flakked and Targamas maybe take a bad trade, you'll oftentimes see him poke his head in bot lane going, okay, I'll try and facilitate you guys to get yourselves back in check. This time around again, he's like, hey, look, if I can stop Cinkrof from getting to level 6, if I can stop him from being able to, get to level 4 even and start to look for some of these ghosted ganks, well then that works out in our favor, right? Because now we've got a strong bot lane that's pushing, taking a few turret plates. BrokenBlade is bullying out Adam as well, and even Caps is getting past this kind of slow-paced early game that the Sylas has.
We have seen a bit of harass from NUCLEARINT in the mid lane. That Kog'Maw mid, something we have seen in the past. First strike gives you a little bit of extra oomph behind your damage. It gives you gold as well, of course, if you can land that first shot on your opponent. NUCLEARINT's been playing this a little bit in solo queue. We looked it up during the 1-minute break getting into the game, and seems to be doing pretty well for him. It is a full AP build generally on that Kog'Maw.
And I think against something like a Sylas in the early stages, the first strike ends up giving you so much gold. You just get a free lane, essentially. You get to farm up. And as we say, you know, Cap's kind of bypassing a lot of his early game issues. The same can be said for NUCLEARINT. This Kog'Maw really comes online, you know, level 13 kind of onwards, where you're able to start having a lot of damage coming through from your ultimate. You got a ton of items that are starting to come through, so at least for Caps, well, I want to see if you can actually start to have a little bit of a push and then a move scenario coming through where you can try and move into the side lanes, but that's easier said than done.
NUCLEARINT will be gifted level 6 there by Limit. One of the bonuses of having a Zilean on your team is that little bit of extra XP he can give, and you can see BrokenBlade and Adam thumbs up, thumbs down, depending on how the trade is going, whose favor it is in at the time of asking. We'll bring up the standings as we talk a little bit more about how these two teams are battling against each other. You can see G2 in a pretty comfortable position at 8 and 6, actually. Syncrof's not going to go for the gank. Video needed one more win to pretty much guarantee themselves playoffs. BDS, if they lose this, they wouldn't be able to hit the 8-win mark that Excel and Vitality are already at. So they need to win this and then win 3 more games as Flakked caught out a little bit down towards the bottom side. xMatty and Limit on the chase. Flakked no flash, does have the heal, but the time warp will slow him down. One more time warp would be enough, but Targamas there in time to stop xMatty in his tracks. Flakked survives. Targamas once again coming to the help of his AD carry. Thick skin will keep him alive for the moment, and he does just fall in the end. First blood to xMatty.
Way too late on the flash from Targamas, and I mean, it was a nice attempt from Limit to get the double bomb, but actually Caps finding NUCLEARINT.
Yeah, Caps loses these as Cinkrof's coming in as well. Caps steals away the onslaught of shadows, will try and escape, uses it to get back to the relative safety of his tower. NUCLEARINT, though, can still put a bit of damage down. Of course, Caps already being level 6 could take away the Hecarim's ultimate, even though Cinkrof didn't have it yet.
And that's where that impact that Jankos had early actually comes into play, because as you can see, Jankos is level 6, but Cinkrof isn't. That's the difference there, that maybe that could have been the pick-off that they needed onto Caps, but Caps taking the worst for wear in that trade that he actually opted into, and now once more, NUCLEARINT gets control over this mid lane.
Importantly, though, Caps didn't have to flash. He still has that up, so if he is caught unawares, caught off guard once again, he does still have that defensive or offensive summoner at his disposal. Adam here under the tower, not too much mana on him, means he's going to have to flash away. Come up and was popped there by BrokenBlade, as Jankos could have dived in when the wind becomes lightning, but for the moment, Adam will be able to farm himself back up underneath this tower. And once again, it's Targamas and Jankos working their way around the map, teaming up to try and get G2 ahead.
And now I want to see that on the opposite side. I want to see Cinkrof and xMatty teaming up. You can't fight this Rift Tower. Let's be realistic. You've shoved top, push mid, you're not able to contest this. Look at where you've got Cinkrof already opting into the bottom side. I like that we're seeing this cross map, but especially when you've already got push on bot lane, you could always look for the dive and then fall back towards this dragon. Try and get kind of a big winning lane for yourself, especially since I thought we'd see xMatty go for the poke-orientated build, but with the lethal tempo, he is going an on-hit Varus, so better late game scaling, and someone that you can definitely look to play around at level 6 if Flakked is left underneath this tower with heal opted for instead of cleanse.
I wonder with the Kog'Maw whether it's just like we have enough poke on our team. You know, we have the living artillery, we have the bio-arcane barrage, we have this Kog'Maw putting out a lot of DPS, and xMatty's just there more to work his way through the Tahm Kench, maybe the Sylas as he gets tankier as the game goes on, maybe even Jankos as he gets tankier. But for the moment, actually, BDS, although they weren't able to find as many plays as they'd like, do have a small gold lead, about 600 gold ahead. They take the first dragon of the game. Yes, there's a Rift Herald sitting in Jankos' inventory, but unless he uses that effectively, doesn't actually amount to much. That gold is only hypothetical. It's theoretical gold for the moment. It's like string theory.
So, I mean, the Rift Herald's the cat in this scenario. Is that what we're going with?
Oh, Schrodinger's, yeah. Schrodinger's Rift Herald, yeah.
Okay.
Schrodinger's Shelly.
Perfect, I like it.
And both has given you plates and not giving you plates until we observe it. But by observing it, we change the outcome.
We superposition it. Or whatever
yes, exactly.
Well, I'd like to see this positioned in the top lane right now, because I think BrokenBlade really could use it. The faster this Akshan is able to kind of get ahead of this Sion, the better, before Sion just becomes a super tank. He can't really do very much. He can just tank up all of BrokenBlade's damage under the tower while he clears a wave. So I want to see if they can make that happen.
Did you see that? It's the Damwon logo into sad B in front of Caps, man. Like, just rubbing salt in the wound.
Oh. It's funny because I don't have to worry about the Damwon logo.
Oh, yeah, because EDG are doing so well at the moment.
Shush you. That's not the point. That's a curse, all right? You know?
Jankos is working his way down towards the bottom lane. You said you wanted this Rift Herald maybe to be used in the top lane. Looked like Jankos and G2 are going for the bottom side. May have just been trying to help Flakked get away from this situation, because at the moment he is struggling in this 2v2.
But this is the thing, right? Where's your actual win condition for G2? Flakked, it's really, well, one, yeah.
They forgot that one yesterday, so it is important to reiterate.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with step one. Step two, at least to get to the Nexus for me, is actually playing through these side lanes. Like, this is a composition that won't do as well as BDS and team fights.
Sure.
So actually playing through BrokenBlade, getting cap set up, for me, is far more valuable. Flakked pretty much is just on wave clear duty. And he'll be fine against, like, this, like, this on-hit Varus. You're not going to worry too much about winning that push in the mid lane.
Sure.
So you're better off trying to focus on the actual solo laners here for G2. So I think now you can see Jankos kind of agreeing with me here. He's going to move up towards his top side on the push and actually get this Rift Herald in favor of BrokenBlade.
Adam does have the ability to charge back on into the lane, and he will use it, but that tower's going to fall. You have the field. Decimating Smash lands. Jankos could look for the chase here. That Rift Herald's going to kill off the tower. Jankos Crescent Guard, actually Rift Herald doesn't quite get it, and Adam now can back away. Ignite was ticking there from the unsealed spell, but BrokenBlade will take the tower, 610 gold into his pocket, and he's looking to add 400 more to that. Jankos diving forward. He will flash away and is able to survive Soul Furnace Shield. Not enough to keep Adam alive. BrokenBlade with his first kill of the game.
And the rest of G2 did a phenomenal job of defending the rest of the map as this play was happening. Targamas moved up towards mid, stopped Caps from being dove. Caps even managed to reset and TP back in, so he was full health, full mana, not worrying about having any pressure. Caps now needs to be careful, but just able to whoosh himself away from that bomb. And it means that you do get a little bit of a play here from BDS onto this bot lane turret, but the wave wasn't really in a position for them to cross map correctly, and they don't get to answer properly for the play on top.
Because of that, G2 now swing the gold in their favor, about 1,000 gold ahead. A lot of that will be sitting on BrokenBlade. Hullbreaker on the Akshan. This is something that's been theorized that we haven't really seen too much in professional play yet. Marksman in a side lane with Hullbreaker. Vayne has been very much near the top of people's menu. Akshan as well, very much near the top of people's discussions, and it was BrokenBlade who talked about it on Euphoria.
Yeah, I mean, he brought them, I mean, it wasn't the Akshan, but he brought up the Vayne, he brought up a ton of these other AD carries that could go into those side lanes and make really good use of this item, and we're going to see it here, because you've got a ton of escapes with BrokenBlade. You've always got the opportunity to look for picks as well when you go for this push. Cinkrof?
Is it time? It's not time. Cinkrof wasn't able to get in range. The time warp from Limit didn't quite give him enough speed, and Flakked just like, yep, come at me, bring it on.
Which your dad jokes, I was expecting a horsepower joke, just didn't have enough in the tank or something along these lines, I thought.
I mean, the thing with it is one horse is actually has more than 1 horsepower.
I thought that was the literal definition.
No, but yeah, it's weird, right? But like, a horse can have like up to 10 horsepower, so the whole horsepower...
What's the point?
Very strange. In all honesty, why are we measuring our cars by how many horses they're equivalent to?
Because they replaced them.
I mean, they did replace them. I also don't measure my planes by how many times I have to flap my arms to get into the air. But it's like, oh yeah, that's 50,000 flappages. You know, it doesn't really
is that
work.
not the eco-friendly mark that they put at the bottom of airplanes? No, that's not it?
Yeah.
All right. But back into this for G2. Again, I like what they're doing here. Moving into river, getting control. And again, these split push compositions, they struggle when you start to rack and stack these dragons. So for G2, they're trying to get some back in their pocket, but BDS are here to fight.
The power of Zilean alongside a Hecarim. You can see how speedy that horse can be. Cap steals away. The onslaught of shadows once again, and BDS do not want to take the fight. Looks like they're content just to give this one up and keep on scaling into this game.
I don't know if I agree with it though. I mean, your Jinx really isn't strong enough. You've got a Mythic completed here for xMatty with that Kraken Slayer and a ton of CC that you can bring to the fight, plus the upper limit as well. So whoever, you know, G2 jump on and try and use both all of Jankos' abilities and Caps' abilities, just bring them back up to life. I felt like that was a good shot for BDS, but not confident enough to try and go for it.
And for the moment, still a little bit uneasy to pull the trigger on these plays. Cinkrof in a good position once again, as it looks like there's going to be a fight in the mid lane. All sort of shadows available for Caps. Our observers showing us that he might be going in. He will. Cinkrof caught down towards the bottom side. On sort of shadows going in, but where's xMatty? Where's Limit? They're nowhere near. NUCLEARINT forced away. Caps takes the kill in the mid lane. Cinkrof gets the chrono shift on him. He's ticking away as here comes the unstoppable onslaught. Adam runs all the way through, and now Caps still got the kill in the mid lane. BrokenBlade taking a tower in the top lane. Caps continues to push in the mid lane. BrokenBlade pushing in the top lane. BDS pushing in the bot lane. And there's a lot of pushing going on, but only one kill ended up going down.
But this is not how you're supposed to think about League of Legends. In theory, you make one play on one lane, and then your opponents can make a play on the opposite side. G2 have thrown at the book. They're like, we're going to win the play mid, we're going to stop your play bot, and we're going to get BrokenBlade who's able to win on that top side as well. G2 just picked off across the board, at least for BDS. They did get that bot lane turret, which is what they really wanted. More gold into xMatty is going to be wonderful for BDS, but now we have to see them start to look for these fights. They need to be able to start them up and enable xMatty, enable NUCLEARINT to use the advantages that they have.
And for the moment, BrokenBlade just in a side lane, able just to push down 2 towers. He will have so much gold sitting on his shoulders. And, I mean, he doesn't need any of it because he's got the one item you ever have to build as a top laner these days, the Hullbreaker, but I'm sure he'll be happy to accept a little bit more in his bank account. Caps as well stole away the Onslaught of Shadows. I did wonder with this G2 lineup how much engaged potential they'd have, but Caps provides it all. All he has to do is steal away either the Sion or the Hecarim ult, and there's your engage tool. Very happy to run a Sylas into the face of a Kog'Maw. And it seems to be going well for G2 so far. 1,000, 2,000 gold lead as we crest the 16-minute mark. And across the board, they seem to be very happy. QSS actually first on Targamas. I like it as an idea. It gets you away from the chain of corruption, gets you away from the double bomb CC, and allows you that option to devour someone and keep your allies safe if you're the one getting caught.
The big one's the fear, right? Because you know that Cinkrof, when he launches himself into that, is going to be on the Flakked 9 times out of 10. So having that safety there for Targamas is great. The stopwatch as well for himself. He's on full defense duty. G2, though, with the pressure they have in that top lane, once more pick up the Rift Herald. And I feel like this is going to be kind of a mid lane play here for G2, because at least then they can command this top side and try to see if they can again look for picks. And with only 3 minutes till Baron, commanding that top half of the map is going to do a lot of work for G2.
Jankos was the one to take the Rift Herald, so it looks like they're going to use that to try and crack open the mid-tier 1. Did wonder if they'd put it on BrokenBlade, just be like, hey, you got Kraken, you got Hullbreaker, just chuck it up there and you can start to break through the inhibitor line, but not wanting to take those inhibitors too early. It does make sense. You don't want to be funneling gold into the enemy team unless you can keep accelerating the game away from them.
I think the big thing they're trying to do as well is like unlock BrokenBlade and topside to play along with that push in mid with the Rift Herald. You can see him here, right? Moving in towards the jungle here. He's going to set up. He's invisible. You don't know what's happening. And he's got the comeuppance to finish this off. BDS have a lot of members here, though, and NUCLEARINT is starting to move across as well.
1 minute on the mountain. Drake Rift Herald goes down. Adam's been on the wrong side of this one before. Won't back away. Just forces Caps away. Roar the Slayer for the slow decimating smash to clear out the wave. And Cinkrof and Limit are here in time to stop the Rift Herald from actually raising that tower. Adam, it's been very quiet for an Adam performance. Usually we see him on something a little bit more aggressive, but here seems to be willing to play for the team. Targamas, QSS, stopwatch, tower goes down. Excited is Flakked. Flame Chompers used as well. Double bomb on Targamas. He's popped the thick skin and he's safe for the moment. You can see the 11 artillery starting to do a bit of work from NUCLEARINT as he's already completed his Luden's Tempers. Jankos diving back in, Limit flashes away. No Chrono Shift used as of yet. Everfrost for the slow, then onto Adam. Chrono Shift comes out, but he's running away at the same time and they can just wait this one out. Adam slowed, just in time, is resurrected, but the rest of BDS really can't follow this one up. Super Mega Death Rocket goes wide, Onslaught of Shadows goes in. Cinkrof split from his team once again, and it looks like BDS just can't quite find the damage to chip away at G2.
And you can see there that because BDS are trying to kite back, you don't really get the opportunity of xMatty to actually set up for a ton of these auto attacks. And this is why I thought we'd actually see that poke build from the Varus, because it feels like to me, BDS, a lot of this is like, okay, we're going to tank up a ton of your... Oh, xMatty.
That's a lot of damage. It's a 2-item Kraken Slayer, Akshan, the 3-hit passive alongside the passive on that Kraken Slayer doing a lot of work. And of course, Hullbreaker, just very powerful for its base stats as well, even if you're not getting the extra armor and magic resist, although I do think BrokenBlade was isolated there.
But again, coming back to what I was about to say, I think xMatty has the poke. If he has that poke build, it's much better when you kite back in those scenarios. You can play at the longer range, but we just don't have that opportunity here for BDS. And again, when they get to the late game and you have the mega tank standing in front of you, and you've got all the items that are picked up for NUCLEARINT, then you're okay. But just at the moment, it's a bit unfortunate for xMatty where his tanks aren't really set up to provide that front line right now. The fight for BDS was a little bit messy as well, and we'll have to see now as he comes back into it. if we can actually get BDS setting up correctly for xMatty to take over. Because once he actually gets into fights, he's going to be monstrous. It's just getting him into fights is what we need to see happen.
Has been a struggle for them so far. 4,000 gold, the lead for G2. 2 dragons to the good as well. 2 items complete on Flakked in a very strong situation. I will say my producers just told me a bit of urgent information. The average Boeing 777 has 30,000 horsepower. I'm trying to convert
flaps is that?
Yeah, I'm trying to convert it into flappages in my head, but apparently, according to my producer, and I will stress, I'm not the one who's saying this, it's about 100,000 flappages. Right now, Cinkrof perhaps hoping for somewhere to fly away as Caps goes in with the onslaught of shadows. Jankos coming in as well. Caps has to pop the stopwatch and Cinkrof comes back. Chrono Shift used. Crescent Guard. Jankos is in the middle of BDS. He does have the flash. Instead, he goes for Cinkrof. Will sacrifice himself for it. Caps flashing forward himself as BrokenBlade joins the party down towards the bottom side. BDS 1-for-1 trade so far. Targamas has a flash. And a corruption already used. Unstoppable onslaught. Flashed away from by the Tahm Kench. And the 1-for-1 BDS should be pretty happy with.
Yeah, nice job kiting back from BDS, and then you try to get the return with Adam using his ultimate, but sneaking off to the side here is BrokenBlade.
That is correct. That was what he was doing, and that's what BrokenBlade should do. It's going rogue, that W ability, infinite stealth if you stand near a wall. And that's exactly what he does. Just walks around, stands near some walls, is a very sneaky boy, and can find people, catch people out. Now this control ward, 2 of them, were down. Oh,
wow.
Oh no! So Limit places, if I'm reading this correct, Limit places the control ward in the top bush, that removes the control ward in the bottom bush, and that's what gives G2 the time to engage.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it could have gone a lot worse for BDS, though, right? As we said, they do a good job kiting back here. They end up getting to their turret. Jankos overextends. They nearly kill Caps off on the side as well. And here, Adam, I think just stopping this ultimate is the mistake. I think if you just let that run through, Targamas has nowhere to flash, and you can actually set up once more for these fights. Because as you can see, like xMatty dealing that damage, NUCLEARINT not quite at the point where he's going to be taking over, but give him, you know, an item and a half more. This guy is going to be just buckets of damage coming out of this comp.
I mean, the big thing is he needs Seraphs for a bit of extra mana. Does give you healing as well, but not too important when you're at the long range of a Kog'Maw. He will look for something probably like a Void Staff after that, maybe go for the Rabadons, depending on how much magic resist he sees being built up on the enemy team. And really, if you look at it, you got a Merc Treads and a QSS. There's not a huge amount of magic resist. I'm ignoring BrokenBlade because he's going to be off in a side lane with a Hull Breaker mostly, but maybe you just go for a straight Rabadons and see if you can just chunk out G2 in these fights.
Especially when your win condition is late game. I mean, you've got a ton of time that you're going to be able to build up towards that Rabadons, and with the wave clear now that NUCLEARINT's going to be able to provide, it gets a little bit tough for, you know, for G2 to actually like shove onto these turrets, especially if you're able to kind of spread out as BDS. NUCLEARINT can clear from pretty far back, so shouldn't have to worry too much about G2 trying to dive him, especially if he's, you know, clearing topside where you actually have an inhibitor turret. It should be relatively okay for BDS to try and slow this game down and look to scale.
I'm very much hoping that they can get to a point at which they have scale, because right now they are near the bottom of the table, only ahead of Astralis. Need to win every single game they have left and hope for things to go in their favor as well if they're going to make it into playoffs. G2 really looking at 1 or 2 wins to lock in that playoff spot. They're not guaranteed if they win today, but they are very much playoffs elect is what we will call them. They're just about then. BDS don't have the easiest of routes, even if they do manage to beat G2 today. They still have to work their way through Fnatic Rogue and Mad Lions next week, which is a monumental, a mammoth, an Everest of a task for the new team in the LEC. But what a name you'd make for yourself if you were able to pull it off.
And it feels like they're going back to comfort because they know how much this game matters. A lot of what we've seen from BDS is these more team fight oriented compositions where they've been successful, and now against G2 they're trying to do the same thing. With 20 seconds on towards the Dragon though, and Caps trying to pressure onto this top side, BDS aren't in position.
Caps is alone, doesn't have the flash. Oh, that dodge on the chain of corruption was dirty, but he is going to get feared back. Still has down sort of shadows. BrokenBlade putting some damage down as well, and Caps able to walk out of that one, stole an ult, stole a ward, and didn't burn a summoner in the sequence of events.
And burned 2 really big ultimates off of BDS as well, with the onslaught of shadows down and also those chains of corruption on xMatty. It's really hard now for them to try and contest. So this composition from G2 that traditionally would struggle to be able to contest an objective like this now has 3 dragons, and Yugin are in a phenomenal spot as G2. you can go, hey, look, we don't care about dragons whatsoever. We can just play side lanes. We can look to cross map and continue to take more on the map as you commit resources to the dragon. Or they just keep pressure onto this top side the whole time. And again, BDS try to overcommit with the resources, and you can actually get that soul for yourself. And this is something that we've seen a lot from BDS, is just overcommitting resources where they don't need to. As my God, that heal, I did not think it was needed, but xMatty, that was clutch.
Okay, observers, your work has been great today, but please stop baiting us with the Super Mega Death Rockets. Not one of them is hit in the games we've been casting as G2 looking to pull BDS around the map. BrokenBlade continues to push in the bottom lane, does have the TP. xMatty's going to join this. BDS 5 members strong. G2, will you back away or will you continue to stay for the fight? 3,000 HP on the Baron. They remove themselves from the equation. BrokenBlade is basing and has the teleport to join. Baron resets. And G2 seem to be happy with what they got out of that. Didn't actually burn anything from the side of BDS, but were able to pull them towards that topside river.
Yeah. They did get the crash on the bot wave. Yeah. Pretty sizable.
Also minion, 2 minion waves or so.
Yeah, and you can also see Adam did swap over towards that smite as well. I mean, he'll just use that on a minion to get it back, but I know that sounds really silly, but actually burning that smite, pretty good, because you've got to try and deal with the double smite of Cinkrof and Adam, where Adam can flash over the wall alongside Cinkrof, and suddenly you just don't have the DPS on G2 to actually to combat that. So actually getting the smite onto Adam now is pretty good, especially if BrokenBlade can play down towards the side lane, and Adam feels pressured to swap back over towards that teleport.
And the problem we have seen for BDS is, although they're trying to get towards their third items, their fourth items, they have to do it via grouping, and because of that, they're losing in terms of XP. They're losing waves. Waves are crashing into their towers. NUCLEARINT 2 levels behind Caps. Adam a level behind BrokenBlade as well, although he keeps trying to answer. And these level 16 spikes are so important, especially for someone like a Kog'Maw. If you can get him to 16, that living artillery becomes so much more powerful. And for the moment, G2 are just ever so slightly ahead of BDS in every single play, and that's mounting into about a 6,500 gold lead.
And the reason why we're seeing BDS back off so dramatically.
Are you going to draw?
I'm going to try to.
Yes, come on!
So what you see
I wanted to do this all weekend.
As soon as Akshan starts to move up into this bot side of the map, no, it's not Akshan. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
What's going to end up happening is if we look up at the top side, you completely back off this wave. So now you're unsure when you're sitting here as BDS as to where is Caps, where is Akshan? Akshan again, as you can see right now, is just playing out of that vision on the bottom side of the map. So again, you can't be sure where G2 are sitting, and now BDS have got to back away once more. And once the second BDS back off, again, look at that top side. You're just going to see Caps move onto the wave once again in a second. You just don't know where G2 are positioned, if you're outmanned, if you're outnumbered, if you need to try and hold on to your side lanes. But now, BDS are committing to this top side because Akshan showed in the bot wave as well.
And Cinkrof popped the turbo chem tank, but it looks like Jankos and Caps just trying to turn this one around. Caps able to help Jankos force that flash away from limit. And I will say, observers, if we get the chance, that vision toggle was great explanation as well, Dagda. If we can keep showing just how G2 are backing out of vision, stepping back into vision, and pulling BDS into these awkward situations where they don't know where they're playing, that would be a sight to behold, I am sure. BrokenBlade pushing in here. You can see, where is Caps? You know where BrokenBlade is. Where's Jankos? Where's Caps? Where's Flakked? Where's Targamas? Are they hitting the Baron? It looks like they are from the spectator climb, but BDS cannot see those projectiles. BDS cannot even see their own jungle. They can't even see the entries. They can't even see Targamas. And this Baron already down to 2,000. Cinkrof looking for the steal. He goes in. He gets it! He gets it, and Cinkrof may have just grasped some semblance of hope for BDS, not only in this game, but in their hunt for playoffs.
And BDS knew that was going down. Adam smited a minion to get his TP back, but they knew they were going to be too late. But Cinkrof with the hero play now will give Baron a cross, but G2, they have the numbers advantage, and they will start to get these outer turrets.
This is everything used onto Caps. He has a stopwatch though. Adam looking to step forward. Targamas with a good gobble up there. The Devour will stop him. BrokenBlade putting the damage in from the side. Kog'Maw's going to get blocked by the tower. Adam has to flash away, and Flakked gets excited. Targamas down though. Flakked continues to push forward. Adam, chrono shifted up, doesn't really have a way to get into this fight. Flakked, the timing was perfect, but Adam just a little bit too tanky for that super mega death rocket.
20 seconds on the Dragon though. BDS are looking for these resets with the Baron recall to move back over to compete against this objective, but we're going to see it here. Cinkrof.
Blind.
Completely blind. And the
85.
early smite as well.
He
from
didn't even
Jankos.
smite.
Yeah.
Cinkrof didn't even smite. 85 HP, the difference between G2 closing this one out cleanly and having to wait a little bit longer. to get their 9th win of Spring. BDS now setting up around the Dragon, but look at where Caps is, Dagda.
Caps is in such a good spot. Front to back is what BDS want, but Caps doesn't want it. He may just pick off NUCLEARINT.
Oh, the chain's just short. The Dragon taken. NUCLEARINT cannot join this fight yet. Caps steals away the Chain of Corruption. Cinkrof tries to force him away. Chain of Corruption's going to land shut down onto BrokenBlade as he will fall, but Caps gets an answering kill. Adam on the front. Cinkrof, xMatty and Limit trying to get away. Chrono Shift just about to come off cooldown. Tick, tick, it's back, but too late. Caps takes one. The Chrono Shift will bring xMatty back, but Caps is not done. A quadra for Caps as he puts G2 on his back once again.
We thought that BDS might have been able to do it with the Baron steal, with the setup for the fight, with NUCLEARINT not getting caught, but just like that, Caps puts BDS back in the ground, and now with the wave pushing in bot, they can look to close this one.
7,000 gold lead for G2. Caps with the positioning behind BDS. He found NUCLEARINT. He found everything he needed, everything G2 needed to secure the win and secure their 9th win of the season. G2 will take it, bouncing back after grasping defeat from the jaws of victory yesterday. They claim their win today, and BDS are out of playoffs.
Yeah, Caps was not going to let that one happen. You can see it there, 7-0-2 on the Sylas. Great positioning for the fight, the ability to sneak in behind the front line, and as soon as that front line gets separated from the back line, you can see there's just nothing there. xMatty's trying to run the hell away. You don't have the peel that you really need because you're working with a Zilean on the back line. Pure fear on Caps' eyes.
Well, Ramon carrying Caps as Caps carried G2 in that game. Great performance by him. Did wonder how he'd be able to deal with the Kog'Maw mid, but he played it to perfection, as you say. Kia player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter. Jankos, Caps with a capital P. You put respect on the spelling. And Flakked are your options. Of course, commiserations to BDS. They are out of playoffs contention, and now all they can do is play spoiler for the other teams.
Yeah, and I mean, look, for BDS, I think we've seen real growth from them over the course of this split. I think their bot lane has gotten a hell of a lot better for xMatty and Limit. Limit even starting to move out of the bot lane and work alongside Cinkrof a lot. I think NUCLEARINT has developed a lot in the mid lane as well. It's just unfortunate that they fell so far behind, and G2 with that strong level 1 that invade to put Cinkrof behind, BDS just never got the ball rolling.
They were never really able to get a grasp on that game. Now after the break, Caps will join Sjokz and Broxah at the Analyst desk to talk about their win and preview the match of the week between Fnatic and Mad Lions. Don't you dare miss it.
It's kind of rough going 0-4 in the last 2 weeks, but we know exactly what we need to work on and shift our mindset a bit. We are not allowed to, mess up again, so we just want to be as good as possible.
It always takes new teams a lot of time to reach their normal level. We should just give them more time, and then we will see. Of course, not before we play them on the weekend, we're gonna stomp them.
This is a match for Mad Lions' life in the LEC. Will Fnatic crush their dreams?